us consciously eat more of our local foods, like yam, local grains like maize, rice, our local rice, cassava, beans, gobe. Those of you of the gobe eaters, the Gobe Eaters Association, you are doing very well for Ghana because you are saving Ghana very important critical foreign exchange. Let us
members of the majority caucus here in Parliament will not participate in any business of government by or for a president, by any other minister. We hope that those of us on the backbench and members of the majority caucus will abide by this prayer. We are saying that if our request is not responded to positively, we will not be present for the budget hearing, neither we will participate in the debate. Thank you very much.
To indicate to you a little where we've got to in the negotiations we're having with the fund, what it portends for the future of economic policy in our country, and then hopefully to have the opportunity to get your particular buy-in, because we are talking and hopefully concluding soon these important negotiations which are going to have, and you know as well as I do, an important impact on the way forward for the Ghanaian economy in the months and immediate years ahead. So it's basically a familiarization program, and then also to hear from you what you think would be significant.
Association of Ghana Industries ano Humphrey Dake editu jase onum de waye krado se wonum ebeto ato adwene se be yi a man sika sembe sen agina ne nan su bio.
And it's our intention, and we recognize your relentless effort to steer our economy to the pride of place and the desire to transform our economy to the best of your ability. We pledge our support that together we shall resolve the intended difficulties as we so find them. We are grateful. Thank you.
Mami Mawakwaba, Emra Adum TV so ena Asempa 94.7 kasafidie so anopei. Na watwi dwumadie ena ogusua wo hye na wotie no. Ye live e wo Facebook obetumi adjoin yen na wo comment ato hono mo. Woko DSTV a eye channel 280 Adum TV e wo na Go TV eye channel 178. Yemra fi ha na yeni nkomo. Medikai Ada Kofi Ameya wadi achrewo Director of External Affairs said ma NPP na Emmanuel Wilson Jr. ono so Chief Crusader at the Crusaders Against Corruption. Oma ye krado ewa ha Emma Martin. Nyame adom na so e.
Nyame adom ho aye me fe no people.
Medase pa. Medase. Na next time so ya na wabantem why?
Of course. Me apologize. Say, for whatever reason, me name the buyer. Me assume say program is starting 9 o'clock instead of 8. Inti enye buapayo, but for whatever reason, I have no excuse. It's mo fancheme.
But si flyer no sakan ye.
Me sakan. Eno na make us me name the buyer. Me hu no 8 to 9 na me hu no 8 o'clock. Mo fancheme.
Ye dia chew.
Mo fancheme.
Me da say. Mame sase okofi ame ya okofi. Emra so be de fie. Over 80 MPP MPs. Sorry ye say oswafo bi wo hono ma. Ghana fo aka ne ho asema, opposition aka ne ho asema, expert aka omampani entie. Any sadio mankasadio bubejim. They told omampani say ompamo the finance minister and the finance the work president or in charge of finance Charles Adubuahin as a party man now tis as the kind who receiving the same.
In fact, I'm not just a party man. I'm an executive of the party, director at that level. I was secretariat. See, your chairman, the Nanudi some Betuja say, the Bayano party ma enka omakuma tomo yem na adwebrombra, whilst the party engages the parliamentary caucus and then government as well too. So the be kwan bi so na ya sisi nyoma. Emra ye wom no answer na maminda mpanifo a omudi kan kasa maminda omasiye pa. Izen say omukasa no ama mimi kofia me akra no makoma tomo yem kakra. Izen say ya utie de ekokoso na wo hwe de ekokoso na edwumi bia na anohye. But if you have independent minded people, say be omo sua de akon kan na say omo chechin sem bi say mo, it's not because it endures to my benefit, but as a Ghanaian say dem me kan no me ana me to me fango me ana me twa me nsuo ka me kan aka na say enyoma me ana me to me duane di na me nya obi a say be oya outside the political ecosystem na otimi ema me sa hope yi a ene nchichemu ya eya na eboa yi pa ntima me ndo omase na yenkoso yembo ye ho modern bia say bia ye wom sisi a na de amanyosem be sinche na ya see the issues as they are and find amicable solutions as we move forward as a people. That notwithstanding, ye parliamentarians no be na omo de sansem be tujano. For me, this is democracy. Kabi mamin kabi na dudu amembu na say ye chere yadweno. Ne fair ye no say ne tie. Say obenya ye nipa dom omo amanyoko bi mu na sa amanyoko no wa ba mu. Na ebia obi wo sa aban ni mu na omo ne nya adwene na omo ni aba abontin we nya kokua mu nkomo mpo. Say kokua mu ni timi hye didi nkomo. Because over a steering committee, National Executive Committee, and Councillor, the Parliament has a representative on that. So, that's the beauty of democracy. So through the executive, so they also can. But it is not entirely unprecedented. And idea you will be that say a political party calling for the head of the finance minister. It be being seen that. But the manner and the magnitude, I see now and a bit different. As I said, 2015, the NDC was calling for the head of the finance minister, Urase Tekpe. They were calling for him to be sacked. Because now, in fact, Uti Openi Alote Jacobs here in Adom FM was calling for the head of the finance minister. And again, multimedia here, Joy News. I recall, me Kaipa Shebi, Nunyam for Mahama Yariga. Was saying the finance minister on bomb. And in fact, the former president, Oshia Barclays Bank, Omo maybe I think Patience, no, I think Omo Agbionu, no, my Oma fan for some head of Barclays Bank. Right there, the president admitted, say, he just a Gunichem on Pamo finance minister. He cannot do that because Odrin said, homegrown policies no airboa. So it's like a deja vu. I see a come back to the situation.
No Sadia said on several occasions in Abeka say, Obete say be a MPB I can be against one party. But looking at in Nipa Best 95, all MPP MPs
but I just admitted
coming together.
But I just admitted
but comparing those
no. I just admitted say the magnitude and the unprecedented like a being said and see that. But the call to sack the finance minister within the same caucus, the same party, that's what I'm saying. But you see, the reality is that me, I am of the view say issues no. Is it based on competence or is based on politics? Man yourself. And I see papa no obetimi aye adwuma no in the midst of our challenges. These are the fundamental issues that we need to look at as a people. Say ye photo some for for a year kenoforiata. Yes, so uncle because on born home modern. And I am essence as human beings, and it's not just Ghana for uncle. You don't want to blame somebody. Empo Yamania ni Yamamremuno, Obi a free moi. Yapesi Adikoso Obi say on a man Pakoni free mo. So it's natural, say, looking at the circumstances in which we find ourselves. We share the cascading effects of the global pandemic. Any Russia-Ukraine war, any amochi that the other 2 years and oko jom kota dia we da no beba na no mabo obi person odin from so ni bobi and the immediate person you can look at for some for or she sikasem ni na
it is a wo ka say is it competence and as a political no wo hwe he na omugina
kwa mugina
omo call for the head na he na omugina
they haven't indicated. Unfortunately for me, they didn't indicate say out of competence or politics. No, they haven't indicated.
And from
they're only calling for his head.
No, from the so making kind kakra. Me refer to Davis Opoku in price to NPOPK. Or say or no akasa the finance minister na maybe sir economist no. As no from day one no na say he didn't buy into the decisions some beko IMF on several occasions na thank it we no buy me patro me bawo. And no much so obia no ade ka che se no de ohun ni se no the solution no na wo se sani panana enkonko di animo enkotu sa na mo no na che se to some extent no obedragi ni feet and omo bobo so IMF nsensem yi the delay ye ra empia ni mo di ode be ya wo kan nyina yi wo se as the finance minister ono na delay the process.
That's not true. First of all many OPK nyadwen it's say even in our normal lives sometimes utimi sig na be say ade we mempe but circumstances within the time no ebetimi am was sanwadwen.
Okay.
And secondly, the leader of government is not the finance minister. The actual Obama no say be ondi o man nim no yi o man free awunyem ye di 2 million sano is not the finance minister. It's the president. The finance minister is the appointee of the president. So the president decides what he wants, not the finance minister. So the finance minister na doing say IMF na MY yenko anasinya de ehu hia. Na president na ye di 2 million nsa. Na also boy ho ban ehwe say obeyi efi yahu say yenko a. Why do we come back to the finance minister? At the end of the day, and you're in the matter directions, no.
But on lead.
It doesn't matter. He doesn't give the directives. And your president in the catch will say, me pay A, me pay B, me pay C. So go and discuss that. And go and make sure that the main panel is implemented. So the finance minister, yes, has shown disagreement. Why? In any case. When it comes to IMF, I don't see why or disagree at some point and now we are forced to go to IMF. No, yeah, they know tabo airborne. I personally don't believe in the IMF. I have argued with the NDC, say, among the reasons why Ghanaians rejected them is for the fact that Omoko IMF were a bailout.
Okay.
I've never liked the IMF. Okay, so if today for some reason you bear me penny business or see a IMF, also for that matter, and you know, no, I have the right to disagree with a lot of things.
Okay.
Policies be or internally, no. Omoko cabinet and BBC. That's why your co-cabinet. 2 minutes in the doors. Even in cabinet, they disagree. Just that it's not public. So it shouldn't be the case there. Are you sacking him out of incompetence or you are sacking him just to satisfy the whims of the people, which is political? And for me, the MPs really didn't demonstrate which of the two na yemfa or either both of them na yemfa. Because if you look at the competence arguments now, this is a manner now in Ghana, even under IMF, the MPP was able to implement its major social interventions, including free SHS. 1 district, 1 factory, 1 village, 1 dam, planting for food and job. We were under IMF program. And the same person was the finance minister. When this same finance minister, I recall, Albany, New York, I went to give a speech. And in that speech, when I was preparing, I read somewhere in Bloomberg, say West Africa, Ebe Peja, Ghana is the beacon. And he was the finance minister at that time. And I recall around the same time when I was preparing for my notes, it was stated clearly, say, Ghana, the economy is one of the fastest growing economy in the world. In fact, CNN reported it. He was the finance minister. And not just in Ghana, just acknowledged by Mpeniform Bekasa, not just in Ghana, the world all over, globally. For that matter, I was saying Mpamo Papano, based on what? His competence.
Okay.
His competence in there for me, he has demonstrated. Or demonstrating. If it's for politics, just to satisfy a Ghana for B and a Ghana for say, okay, you believe that he's the one to be blamed. And if the argument that needs to be made. But clearly for me, the 85 MPs did not make a case as to whether out of incompetence or politics in
May I say, Ima, on the same topic here too.
Now the Mami establishes one problem in this country. any the tolerance level when it comes to mediocrity. As a nation, your tolerance level for mediocrity seems to be so alarming that sometimes we, instead of looking at the excellence, we only celebrate anything as long as it is one step ahead of the worst situation. And over the past period, especially in this country, the best approach we always give it to ourselves and say, oh, now say my big crown puno, me move one step compared to the previous government. Into every time your standard is the worst, instead of our standard being the best. And that is an alarming thing. The second thing, and it's also in line with your tolerance for mediocrity, is the fact that there's a lot of wastages in the system. Obia seems to be okay with it. And I know me some 2 minutes calculation be. Now you share how as a nation you waste resources in this country. When the president, your president Otisi, Nano Otukwanko Kumase, Ashanti region. Now Okoye I'm not going to be here to talk about the number of convoy that Idini Chikoye. Indeed, Ushe video now, I was able to count about 41 V8s Odimuvuye. But that is not even the alarming part. When we say President Eko Utek FM or T Studio Honomono, not Otene presidential chair. Now, and that wasn't just the first time. It has become so consistent in this country. Say anytime the president A2 within Ghana, he travels with his chair. If you look at the presidential detail, say 2 convoy or 3 or so 4, anytime a president A2 within Ghana, Biano, one of the V8 or use, that V8 is just positioned to carry Nakonja.
What? Really?
Now, Akonja or Osiano, if you look at the cost involved, and I have done a basic calculation to say, look, if the president should even travel 50 times the whole year in Ghana, now Omuvu average, say it is not, the figure is more than that, but averagely, we use V8 an average of 200 kilometers. You use 1,000 Ghana cedis on fuel. Boss.
No, I'm not the host, but if that's how the program will go, then I'm sorry. I'll be forced to respond to it.
I don't think
I'll stop here to have the discussion. Topics near demand.
It is not for you to talk about how I should present my topic.
Come on. But that's not the topics I was giving.
So, as I'm saying, if you look at the cost involved, the president travels 200 kilometers 50 times in a year, right? That's an OUSU average of 1,000 Ghana cedis just on fuel kicker. The carrying of Nakonja, we are using 10 million Ghana cedis on that. We are using 10 million cedis on that. Are you getting it? Now, Ubi Samson, what is the fact for what? It is an example of the wastages that we have in the system. Now, Crusaders Against Corruption must send the proposals as to how best we can build the economy. Must send them our producers. I'm sure very soon they'll put it on the screen for us to go through it, to see how I say cut it down on wastages and the rest. We can build a strong economy. The bottom line is, in this current economy, the economy is sinking. It's a fact. Now, a group of members of parliament, this time from the majority, say the finance minister should resign, right? Sometimes what we fail to realize is that that ministry is not just finance ministry. It is 2 duties attached, brought together. Finance minister or ministry and economic planning. That ministry is supposed to plan for the economy. That is one part of it. Now say, me employer, now me can say plan for my economy. Planning means moving into the future. Plan for the economy. Now, from all indication, plans are making it is not helping the economy to go on. It is a typical example of what we call incompetence. Are you getting it? Now, what is alarming again is that ministry, we have one Minister of Finance and Economic Planning, Ken. I think he has about 2 or 3 deputies. 2 deputies. That is there. We have a minister in charge of finance at the presidency. In other words, we have 4 individuals with our taxes. to ensure that the economy is stabilized and it stands strong. And now, Mino Kasi, first and foremost, if you look at our cedi to dollar, the average business person, the average person cannot even plan beyond 1 week. Because our cedi, our currency is not stabilized. And if the currency is not stabilized, who doesn't know that it means that some fundamental things are wrong? And the bus will stop at the doorsteps of the individual and our ministry. I indicated said they should plan for it. Today, as we speak, which serious country? Look at all the indicators. Just yesterday also, I was reading from one international economic platform. I want to say one of the worst currencies in this world, the cedi currency. Who doesn't know, say, the cedi, which is actually the vehicle for your transactions and everything in this country, as far as we are concerned, no? The cedi has become one of the worst currencies in the world. Today, as we speak, which country, and the debt to GDP will be over 80%? Which country does this? Near the debt to GDP, what it means, and I said, you find say you 10 cedis every year, every month. 10 cedis are you 12 A minimum of 80% of that 10 cedis, which is about 8 cedis or so, goes into debt servicing. Who does that? Where is the planning that we are supposed to have and enjoy in this country? Who does that? Today, as we speak, if indeed we are into plan and our ministry is supposed to do the planning, and they are planning very well, look at some of the policies that they have implemented. Where has it gotten us to? A typical example is just some few months ago, ministry, we should have what we call e-levy. You know the position of Crusaders on e-levy because we've discussed it even here before. You can say this is not the best way for us to go. Yes, or some few years, a year or two on. Today, as we speak, all of them, including the ministry, is saying that aside the e-levy, we still need to go to IMF. What does it mean? Even though the plan said the e-levy...
That is because the projection for e-levy, no?
Fantastic.
Because Ghanaians were not paying.
Fantastic. So that is the projection. That is planning. It means that they failed in their planning.
It is where
all indications came. The reason why are we, Crusaders Against Corruption, we were against it was that we said the projection is not realistic. And better guy. And the young cry somewhere, and it's not just us. There were so many civil society organizations, so many institutions, and all that. Even professors, research coming from institutions like University of Ghana and Co. They all came out and said, look, this projection is not realistic. How come all of us could say this, and yet 4 ministers, 4 individuals are with our taxes to plan for the economy? They failed to see it. Even when we were questioning and telling them, they failed to see it. And I'm going to say, we are going to IMF. One reason for bringing in the e-levy was that what? We won't go to IMF. And yet we said, even before the implementation, it's a failed plan. So from all indication, and you're very, very, very clear, said that ministry has failed us. In terms of incompetence, the ministry has failed us. And I have heard people make arguments, say, oh, and at the first 4 years of this government, and now first 3 years or whatever of this government, the government, there is the same minister who did very well and all that. Look, we are talking about progressive. We are not relying on past glories. Say, Andra, I was able to do ABC. Now say, and then the environment is different. Now the environment demands something else. It's just like what I have been hearing. So, oh, now COVID, ABIM, and all that. So yes, if we are in dying times now, it doesn't necessarily mean say the one who was able to take us through when we were not having dying challenges, no, will be the same person to take us through now. Okay. Every situation and the kind of leader you need at this time, from all indications, just tell me, unless people who don't feel the situation. And of course, individuals say, well, Bimu and the rest. Some may say, well, but the reality is that, look, just yesterday, today as we speak, what is the minimum wage? Ghana's minimum wage. It's 13.26. Just about a week ago, $1 was higher than the Ghana's minimum wage. You think this is funny? Workers, how do they survive? Today as we speak, just yesterday, I was having an interaction with a lady. Okachem said the salary is 500 Ghana cedis. Me bisa ni baby a ote. Oso ote achimota. Ano bejuma ote sano. Me bisa say the transport and him or spending in a day. I say because of increment into each day or spending 22 cedis.
Okay.
And I did a calculation with her. She didn't even realize it. Just do a calculation of 22 cedis each day and subtract it from someone's salary of 500. How does the person survive? And yet every day, and then oko shop and the next moment, and people who are supposed to manage and stabilize the economy, they are sitting down and things are going this way. And then we are here to talk about it. Now, if you want us to go through some proposals that Crusaders Against Corruption then we'll talk about. But the truth of the matter is that, look, the MPs are almost calling for the finance minister to go. For me, I'm not even going to dwell on whether they are MPP MPs or they are NDC MPs or what. The fact of the matter is that I am a Ghanaian. We are Ghanaians. From all indications, the Finance Ministry and Economic Planning Department of this government has woefully failed this economy. Okay. It is not for anyone to call, say, they should resign. If the president indeed is sensitive to the plight and he knows exactly what is happening in the economy, sometimes I'm tempted to believe that the president doesn't know the reality. Yeah, but if he really knows the reality, and you'll be in a back and say, he's the coach.
What's an Kofi?
Abna.
Me say be responded to.
Of course.
Bobo Subami.
And I'm so me when I'm flowing.
Oh, but I was saying
no, but yeah, you don't come in when you talk.
Why you think I'm like you? I'm a gentleman. When anyone talks, I don't talk. That's why when we're talking, when I was talking, I told you say don't talk.
Right now you are not being a gentleman.
No, but why do you invite me and say oh Kasa me man Kasa? When I haven't even said
anything. I never mentioned. I was talking to her.
When she said she's the host, you said me and I'll call you no Refi.
Kofi meeting. But
Kasa is your Refi as my guy.
Where?
Yeah, maybe. So don't do that.
So I mean, first of all, you see, in situations like this, populist talk, normal, common. They said and how can you operate an economy with over 80% GDP, blah blah blah. Really, even Japan, almost there to GDP is 234%. Okay, you look at Greece, 181. Sometimes, it's not just about the percentages. Okay, and the nominals. You look at what the money is being used for. In any case, 70% of the drawdown, BCI Koboy, 70% was one that was contracted by the former administration. You have to look at whether BCI and the Koboy, the year Juma for which we went to take the loan for. These are the issues you have to look at. Now, another issue you can look at and say whether investments yield the results. But when you make this populist approach and all of that, but in any event, look, nobody is saying we are in good times. Yes, so I can say politicians be a bit more. I can say no more, but in actual sense, no more money at the mom. But they are Ghanaians in this country, in the midst of all our challenges, they are doing fantastically well. So what are you talking about? So does it mean that every Ghanaian is going through hardship? And I say, there are people who are still doing well. We admit clearly that we are in bad times. And I'm saying that it is not wrong for anybody to blame the finance minister. And yet, at the one where we say, Obibeka is finance minister, I maintain that position because in these times, things are difficult to the extent that within 10 days, dollar can jump from 11 cedis to 15 cedis. Of course, the person to blame is the finance minister because he's in charge of our finances. But I'm saying that if we are making the argument, is it because he's grossly incompetent and he cannot manage the situation? And now I say we are in a particular, as a genius factor, sir, and yeah, extremely difficult to manage. And when you listen to the experts, in fact, when you listen to the former president, he admits clearly, say, especially in Africa, because of COVID and Russia-Ukraine war, but when he comes back home, he tells a different story. So you cannot run away. Listen, let's get it clear that things are difficult. People must be responsible for them. But we cannot run away from the cascading effects of the global pandemic. Yet because come and COVID by, we lost revenue to about 12 billion Ghana cedis. The informal sector, to say for example, we call about the beach. For almost a year, you're closing it down. Do you know how it affected the economy? Even though it might not be recorded. The whole entire tourism sector, you're closing, you're shutting it down. That means the hotels in Yejuma, your friend is saying restaurants no much than near Jumasa, clubs near the idea they were not working. Do you know how it affected the economy?
So
I am saying that.
And no, Bebeka said that is why leadership or no more. It's situation no worse no. Measures any debe go akwanso and measures never so not the implementation and enforcement na ye dwuma. Ye ka say ya the cabinet retreat anyambo a omapani any Ghana for beka say e measures no dey ba. E di ne sequence say these measures are ebebe no. Yan taking no ahead knowing the cascading effect as you stated no as a COVID ne Ukraine war ni ade na ebenya ewo economy no so. Why are we taking it now?
Obatampa care before. What is that?
Me bacho mateda.
What is it about? What is Obatampa care?
Me too.
No, what is Obatampa care?
So it is a finance ministry at the buy.
What was the reason why?
The best song of wasn't and I net saying.
Exactly.
But
so you don't tell me say COVID buy no and now you who COVID after COVID no. We didn't propose anything.
And
we didn't put any
plan
into
effective?
Thank you. So don't make the suggestions. Don't ask the question as though.
Even the measures are me Kofi. The measures are make one sem. Any measures would they support again but me dey say ye dey Mrs. Sheba importation ye be ni say ni ade. That is where I am coming from.
Abna.
Kofi meeting.
Yeah, sentence no ni your program no yeah me check sir. Uma me flow.
Meeting.
First of all, in Pennyfor ya we see ya call IMF 17 times me wa.
Yes.
So are you telling me government upon government doesn't have a plan for this country? You always have a plan for this country. But sometimes it doesn't work because the nature of your economy needs systematic change all the time. And you say the policies are balanced, I'm buying. Yeah, the another one buy, for example, e-levy. I don't know if he was part of it because I've never followed his crusade before. But the opposition stood their ground and said, and yes, Ghana for e-levy. Look at what happened because of e-levy. And the finance minister says, can you implement e-levy to its fullest? Probably we couldn't have gone to IMF. Probably we wouldn't have been in this situation. But yet the same people who were saying, no, Ghanaians don't pay for e-levy. E-levy, chrono, ye escape from the bottom, are the very people who are saying, what they adding out the e-levy by now at the same time, also the requirement. So clearly, when we ask the question or we make the point, say, after COVID, Yanfa policy beyond, Yanfa direction beyond, I don't think it's fair for us to say this. But again, moving forward, and I'm making the point that the situation in which we find ourselves now, it's easy for us to blame even the president. Why? Aren't people hooting at the president? I'm not from Bonu because they feel like, look at the social media platforms. So it is not out of place for people to be frustrated. It is not out of place for people to blame the president or the finance minister. But I'm here, sitting here to assure you, make catch the webinar, make catch me in your time, make catch Ghana for me and more studio. I said things will turn around.
When?
As soon as practicable. As soon as practicable. And I'll tell you why things will turn around. Remember just 1 minute.
It's you.
The situation we find ourselves in, is because of the short supply of dollar in the system. Okay? Because majority of our consumables, and your ma so we share about not less than 50% of what you're dressing every money. We depend so much on dollars. However, I am printed dollars to Krumwa. And because of the sea, we are see Amobia, Elson, Nisika, Kakan, and yet say Bequa and saying Jasso, Sika Jamanso, Akobo Bessia. And we only get enough dollars when we go to the Euro bonds and take dollars into the system. As we speak currently, almost a year, so dollars any system nemu. And this one is clear. Okofa mean if anything.
Emmanuel Wilson.
Okofa Wilson, the finance minister. It won't change.
You are lying.
Oh, please.
Maybe your power it won't change, but no, don't mention me and say it won't change. No, but you mention me. Don't mention me. Then don't mention me.
I'm making a point.
So don't mention me in it and say it won't change. No. Don't mention me and say it won't change. I am super competent. Not you.
So clearly, not until we have enough dollars in the system. And the possible way we can have the dollars is through the program with IMF. so that at the end of the day, your risk no ebe conform. Now, the financial market no can have a bit faith in us to ensure say member is can. Now, if you IMF force then we can have enough money in the system and just cushion the system. So presently, Yankomo DNO is centered on the outcome of your negotiations with IMF. And from what I have, Yakachem is going well, and very soon, no, I'm rolling out. And when that is done, trust me, and I can assure you, the good people of this country, through your platform, say, and your man will start turning out.
Mate, Wilson, who say, more the robust measures to revive Ghana's economy, save Ghana now.
Yes.
It's where your mumu susu ya mumu se say, abino drop here. Ebema economy na se sika sem ne jane na so. Enti ube go through. Members wa hana wa ode.
Mami members wa hana say. But just one or two na me do hana say Mr. Opa. You see, Mr. Tika say the mediocrity level of this country, your tolerance for mediocrity is so high. And that is why anytime you want to hide behind your incompetence, Ube to me are coming out with thousands of reasons why things cannot be done. But the bottom line is, you told about my leadership. No? We don't want reasons why things cannot be done. We want reasons why things can be done. And when you come out with proposals and at the end of the day, the proposals are not working, it suggests clearly say you are super extremely incompetent. And we shouldn't be tolerating this. We've had examples and all that. Oh, and a dollarization. Because you need dollar system, look, the truth of the matter is this. Why do we even dollarize our country or our economy? Today, as we speak, one example given for which I say, Ukraine-Russia war. But as we speak, in this era, it is so clear, say, Ukraine, Russia, almost currency is becoming one of the strongest, even though they themselves are those doing the fighting. What is the difference? Difference is very simple. In Ghana here, the reason why we are dollarizing everything is because we are not even self-sufficient in anything. We are always exporting raw materials, importing finished products. Today, as we speak, before Nkrumah was Obabi Fisu, look at Nkrumah's time. On your vision said, in some years to come, we may strike oil or build a oil refinery. And then you need oil. And so we send the crew outside for it to be refined, for us to bring it back. What kind of country do we find ourselves in? And yet, we will get people who want to massage and say all this. It's simply because their tolerance level is super, super high. We just believe in mediocrity instead of believing in excellence. And to say you be leadership, and I'm paying for believing in excellence and not mediocrity. To the extent some do baby and after they all complain, cry, they become so arrogant and want to say cruel words to you. Okay, President. When people were complaining, he says, it is not in my domain to hold your tongue. That is arrogance.
But you say in the Juma to obey.
Yeah, but say you were Juma, now obey. For to the extent that we do in Pempenso, people are complaining. It means that you have even failed. What do you
also think say you're right, said the piano. Nipa will not to Ababeka say me threaten me born training one year meant to about
it is because that is what that is the promise or the command or to Abama. Okona kasi member one district, one factory. Now me who say factory name by me region ya. Why won't I threaten you? So Ubana occasion say member metal electricity so you can say dollar cedi. It will be a thing of the past. Was it not the same president and not all catching was a Muntu Obama me? Now make me who be that say $1 can be 2 cedis. 2 cedis or 3 cedis or whatever. Today, what is the dollar?
Okay.
So this is the same person into Obama no Bekasa. Now when you are talking, you get others who are in Abimu and say, oh, this is populist talk and all that. That is fine. You can insult the Ghanaians and say our hardship, no, it is populist. Your hardship, you can't want them, no. And you're populist. You can insult Ghanaians because of arrogance. You can do that. But let's just look at the measures. The kind. Crusaders Against Corruption Ghana. You believe it say, look, as it stands now, we need to revive the economy. One of the things that you believe say we can do, and it said quickly, if we can close down the tax loopholes. Now you eliminate exemptions and concessions, we will be able, annually, Ghana will be able to save an amount of 17.3 billion Ghana cedis. And this is not rocket science. Just go into the Auditor General's report.
Are you talking about tax exemptions?
Go into auditor. I'm coming. Go into the Auditor General's report.
But when you come here, you're having a discussion.
I will do that. But you don't cut me.
I'm writing something, so I'm asking you what.
But why do you think that because you're writing something, make a sentence, maybe middle of it, I should stop and finish with you? Let me finish the sentence and I'll respond to you. You understand? I'll do that. And see, that is it. So we are talking about tax loopholes and exemptions. Are you okay now?
Thank you.
Good. So you wait and let me finish my sentence. No, please, don't do that. No, don't do that. Allow me to present myself the way I want to do it. The Atosubium. If you look at our anti-corruption institutions in this country, and Crusaders Against Corruption, we've always said the anti-corruption institutions in this country, I'm not talking about civil society organizations like ours, state institutions, anti-corruption institutions, they are always reactive instead of being proactive. Now, the very moment we move from being reactionary to being proactive, now, we'll be able to do that. It's the idea can say, to me, strengthen your anti-corruption agencies, na corruption. Corruption. See, to me, strengthen as a minor more kind, not from figures we will be able to save 22.5 billion Ghana cedis annually. Afibia, you bet me save annually. The Atosumiensa, eliminating overlapping government institutions, initiatives, and ministries. What these quasi institutions, ministries, and they say about Tampa one the next moment, I say another one. Ushemu said ni na the same conflicting things. And yet at the end of the day, to say more money na omo budgets. Mama, a typical example. Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs. What does it then in the Jumet so here? Osha the act establishing Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs. The basic duty is to serve as a liaison between how do you call it? Parliament and the executive. What is the duty of majority leader of any given day? He leads business of government business. Conflicting. We are in this country. His Excellency Kufuor's time, he established that ministry, Meboa. His Excellency Atamils didn't work with that ministry. His Excellency John Mahama didn't work with that ministry. Currently, we have that ministry. Example, Samaman, what I'm trying to say is, if there are instances where we can work without such ministry, it means that we don't necessarily need it. These are conflicting, and not just that one. Look at some of these youth agencies we have across this country. They are all being overlapping, and yet at the end of every year, there are more in our separate budget to almost do the same thing. This is wastages in the system and we need to eliminate. The third one is we should genuinely protect the public purse. We should improve public expenditure management. Look, Nyami Aduma next week, yebeye press conference. There some documents from PPA. You will see how the taxpayers' money is going to waste. Adia, you bet me turn 1 cedi. Because here talk through a buying tea. Near Cassia turn 10 cedis, 20 cedis. You don't do things like this with taxpayers' money. And we'll get there and we'll see the rot in the system. The other one, revisit the National Development Plan and the strategies. Let's initiate and commit to policies for a robust job growth in a thriving private sector. Look at what is happening in the private sector. Almost a Juma, ye show mu Kenana say, ye support mu. We are rather collapsing all of them.
Like,
we are collapsing all of them.
Example.
And we are here.
For example.
We are here. You understand? We are collapsing all of them. And yet we want the private sector. When Kufuor became president, one of the mantra was that private sector engine of growth. You don't need to be even 2% competent to know, say, in managing an economy, your backbone should be the private sector. What are we doing in the private sector all these past years? That is the question we should be asking ourselves. The next one.
But on that note, at least, abane credit kakra, with no one D1 for the buyer, there were some private businesses, factories, not into me group, but
how many?
How many? But at least, no. To me, my offer.
You see, but at the end of the day, remember, my argument now is on a premise. We believe in excellence, we don't believe in mediocrity. So me na ukra 3 cities. Na me beshim 3 cities nifi unsa. Na me ma 1 city. I haven't done anything. Even though I've given you 1 city, in reality, you have lost 3 cities or 2 cities. You understand? Look at the banking sector. Look at the amount of money you use to say cleaning the banking sector. we could have used that money to inject into the banking sector. It's all about planning and policies.
Develop comprehensive
Thank you. Develop comprehensive innovation policy. Expand investment policies in key sectors such as manufacturing and infrastructure. We are here and talking about dollarization. Tell me one or two things we are self-sufficient in this country. Even tomatoes, the amount of money we use to import tomatoes from Burkina Faso, a deserted country, into our country. In Nkrumah's time, we were trading grass are Nintrie area. We were trading it for Nintrie with Burkina Faso. That was the extent to which the economy, we were having progressive leaders, our economy was going. Grass are keke. And now, the same Burkina Faso, you import tomatoes.
Okay.
How do we make sure that our currency is strong? Because when you are going to do that, you go with the dollar currency. The next thing, we should prioritize a more robust and interconnected innovation ecosystem between education, entrepreneurs, and tech hubs through the implementation of strong government integrated technology policies. And then the very last one, we should build effective and efficient government system. This time, government system, so the public sector employment, with focus of meritocracy and not on nepotism. I have always given this example. From Rawlings' time, I wasn't so active with national politics. But right from Kufuor's time, His Excellency, I have been very, very active with national issues near. Look, from Kufuor, His Excellency Atta Mills, John Mahama, current government, there's one trend, and that's a typical example. MMDCs, MCs, DCs. Obi bia wenya akwenya a witness how they are elected. When you say a shortlist on president and shortlist, they go for an interview. Interview and NIPA 5 call for interview. I'm call for interviewer. Me say Obi bia, and this is from Kufuor's time all the way to now. I'm call interviewer. The yardstick for qualification, say 100%. 60%, we are looking, 20%, we are looking at your educational background. 20%, we are looking at your plan or vision for the MC district and as a municipal. 60%, we are looking at how committed you have been or you are to the current party that brought you to office. And at the end of the day, the amount opportunity, and I appoint to say, you should come and be our MCE this year. 60% for which we were qualified is based on how committed you were to the party. I was able to produce T-shirts, and I'm ESA during the election. I'm ESA. 20% goes to competence. Okay. 20% goes to your vision. How do we develop our municipals and our districts if we have this kind of yardstick for selecting MCs and DCs? And it cuts across, not just that, but it cuts across even ministries and all that. I say, hey, where do your party boy? Hey, where do I bring party name? Only I say the man. Meritocracy has been taken out, and we are now looking at nepotism. Okay. And that is the reason why, even in our public sector, things are going so worse. To the extent, say, even now we have current executive, or currently we have what we call MPs, who are part of the government. Now coming out to say no, the pressures coming from your constituents, you're too much. You see, Monsake, the finance minister. But if you are not listening now, we want to tell you, say you should do that, and yes, sir, you're if we should commit to this, it will help us.
Kofi, I think so. What we did.
No, I think the way Marani shown is bad. First of all, you gave me two topics to discuss the Ken issue, then cabinet retreat. And then I come here and you've given the agency or the way now.
Crusaders Against Corruption.
And then his statement, and you've given me time to even comment on it without prior knowledge to me. So, okay, you're better discussing it so that I can give my opinion on it. I think this is not acceptable. This is not right. You're running shows. I said I'm not a reciprocity of all knowledge to respond to that without this time, especially when it's a panel. I don't think it is right. Okay. But that notwithstanding, I think there are a lot of the things that he has said, and Aban key steps, especially the tax exemption. I think we have a tax exemption bill. I don't know if it's passed into law. I think it's passed. Personal. Okay, it's something that is important. I support that agencies now, especially it appears we have too many of them. At some point, if we can connect all together and work on it. But where I disagree with him seriously is the banking sector cleanup media kika. You see, look, again, when I say we are making populist statements, it's not an insult, it's the reality and the fact. On the issue of banking sector, what he is suggesting was done by the NDC. They pumped 9 billion cedis into the banking sector to clean it up. It didn't work. It didn't work. So you're saying, idea, say amount the same results. Now that means so we needed to do something differently. Okay. He talked about the fact that Abamba collapse private business. And I was asking you to ask him. He should mention the companies Abamba Guno. You didn't ask him. He didn't even mention any. So I'm yielding my time to you. Mention the companies we came to collapse in this country. Wilson, I'm yielding my time to you. Mention the companies we came to collapse in this country.
I should mention what?
Yes, companies you're collapsing in this country.
I just gave you the finance sector. Oh, I didn't give you the finance sector. The banking sector.
It's okay. Did we collapse the banking sector or the banks? We consolidated them. What are you talking about?
See, the difference between consolidation and collapse. What do you mean by consolidation?
That means that we've scrubbed it off.
But what happened?
Wait, you don't know. I'm explaining.
Okay.
First of all, this is what happened. The Bible who said the managers of those banks, Sika, Ghana, buying them more from one. That's not what they were doing. So you buy and you be come in our boom. Say the bay a bit me managing you. And you know why we did that? So that you, Abina, Watson, Mimi Kofi Amea, any questions here, you seek our bank and yeah, you seek. If we have collapsed the bank like he is describing, no, you will lose your money. Did you lose your money? So why do we keep saying these things when we know say they are not true? We are intelligent enough say they can no correct. As we keep hammering it because we want to insult the intelligence of Ghanaians.
Okay.
The depositor now the depositor now Nisika war in the GN Bank. Why Nisika actually no? This is the person we Ghanaians, we in the MPP, we in the government, we're looking at, not the company. Which company?
Emmanuel Wosi Jr. Crusaders Against Corruption and now Juma and now Kofi Amea or your Director of External Affairs at the Madi MPP. Mamina says, I will jibre a sharing and pay a sansu eti now a live or a sampa 94.7. Now and a year Parkwesi Yankee. You are not a board chairman at the Masunu Assurances Ghana Limited. Parkwesi Yankee, ya we board chairman. Sunu Assurances Ghana Limited. And Wagoda. Parkwesi, on behalf of the Multimedia Group Limited, you wish you a happy birthday. You saw body in some shop one day, and you quatinting at the Mamidi. Ede Abina Pokoa ahwenneɛ Waba Kofi Ampadua kwasi sia Frank Olanyo camera sound esi wo hene na Abdullahi Awudu penyefo ni nyina yɛda masesa mo bo chidom ema dwumadi eba wakom na wɔtwe sɛ ne yɛbɛsia biom yakra mu nyina.
Put your hands in the air. What time is it? Yes, he is. Oh, yes, he is. I need your help, Illinois. Y'all ready? Lift it up. Like this. All things are working for my good. Hey, cause he's intentional. Yes, he is. He's never failing. I know that all things are working for my good. Yes, it is. Cause he's intentional. Come on, if you believe it, sing it out. Never failing. All things. Come on. I know that all things are working for my good. Come on. All things are working for my good. Working for my good. How do you know that, Travis? Cause he's intentional. on doing it. There's nothing. No. And we're standing here. You made a way. If you know your God stepped in and he made a way, tell him now. Don't know how. Said I don't know. And I don't know why, but don't know why. Said I don't know. But this one thing I know, you move mountains. Tell them now that you move mountains. You move mountains. Somehow you step in and you move mountains. Tell them, and you cause walls to fall.
They were in good form. And they are
especially at the King Power.
Yeah, and they are playing at home at the King Power. Brendan Rodgers is a stubborn manager.
It's all my picket.
Teams almost stopping Man City. Let's stand up part of them.
And I agree.
Say Newcastle.
I'm not trying to stubborn in there.
Yeah.
Me game with me who say.
Abra osori ni peja e koso no